This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast, coming to you every week with their thoughts and opinions on each and every Ravens game. Tune in weekly and join the flock.
This is Ravens Flock Talk Podcast. I am your host, Brandon, and my dad joins me as my other host. Wild Card Weekend against our arch rival, our nemesis. And man, domination from beginning to end. This is the way I was hoping the Ravens started out this game and this playoff run, hopefully. And I am more than thoroughly pleased, man. This was not only did we beat them, but we embarrassed them.
Oh, there's something special about beating the Steelers, Brandon. I mean, wild card, at home, in the bank. Yeah, I can't say I wasn't nervous going into the game because you know how these games can go. But boy, does it feel good waking up with a beat down for the Steelers.
Yeah, total domination. I'm like you. I was a little nervous because of the Zay injury, and some people before the game, online and in person, were telling me, who's going to step up at that position? Is it going to be Nelson or Tylen? And I was trying to tell them my prediction before the game was they're not going to be difference makers. You're going to have to win playoff games with your star players. And luckily, we have a good core with Lamar, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry. They all, pitched in. It was really Lamar and Derrick were the two main pieces. But I think cumulatively, everybody pitched in. Nelson had a catch. Tylen had that, I think, 2nd and 20 conversion. Even Mims, our return guy, had a first down, an end-around sweep play. So everybody cumulatively came together on offense, but it was Derrick and Lamar that really ran it home for us.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. We had Zay out before, and so I was nervous, but just like you, I just knew that the next man up would step up, and they did. And so without Zay, it's always the big play is what I worry about. Are we gonna have big plays?
Yeah.
But what I'm so happy about is, as you just stated, Henry and Lamar are two stars coming to play. Unbelievable performances by both of them, and the run we stuck to our identity and we ran the ball.
Yeah, that was one thing I said before the game, too. I was like, with Zay being out, you definitely can't abandon the run. You can't have a whole half where Derrick is just not involved.
Right.
And getting Justice Hill back was big, too. But I think, on the Zay being out thing, the whole thing with that is the fact that we have two tight ends, likely made some crucial catches as well as Andrews. And I was just all around. I was just so pleased. I love the physicality. Derrick Henry stiff arming Minkah Fitzpatrick, their star safety. Isaiah Likely just pummeled that. He was a corner or safety. I mean, he just basically put his arm and stuffed them into the ground. So that physicality, I love to see. And the icing on the cake was Henry kind of pushing off of Patrick Queen for that long run for a touchdown. So all around, I mean, you can't praise this team enough. You really can't.
I mean, to your point, Mike Tomlin also said that we were the more physical team.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you could see it.
You could see it from the jump. And the incomplete passes, catches that they made on their end really set the tone. The drop passes, I should say, and. So, all the headlines are saying how physical we were. All the Pittsburgh players, their key players, were saying they just out physicalitied us, know. So,
and it goes in the stats too. To your point, we finished with 299 rushing yards. They have 29.
29.
I mean, you talk about a pendulum. Either sides of the spectrum. So
I mean, you think about it. Our offensive line, Lamar praised them in the post interviews. Our defensive line was terrific. I mean, how can you complain? It was a complete game, as you stated earlier, a complete, comprehensive game. Everybody did their job, as they like to say, and as Lamar's famous quote is, they were all locked in.
It's interesting because I've had such history with watching this game in particular with you growing up as a little kid since the Bowler days, for me specifically, and throughout the years, Pittsburgh's always had a good run defense. we've kind of mirrored each other, you know, throughout the years, with our secondary being the kind of weak point in our defense. And the fact that we ran for 300 yards and they only ran for 29. I mean, you would think that their run defense would be the strong suit coming into this game.
Yeah,
and all around, I mean, guys were wide open too when we were passing the ball too, because that's Lamar extending plays. So from start to finish, man, just complete domination, running and passing.
Yeah, Brandon always teases me going back in the day. You know, I'm an old head, but when I look at this rivalry that we had, that is probably the best in the league. Sometimes it brings nightmares, and sometimes it brings joy, like it does today. But, you know, going back to those days, you know, our defense was always on lockdown, right? But today, or yesterday's game, it was the offense that really showed out, right? Scoring more points than them, getting out of the gate early, and I was
hey, at halftime it was 21-0, so the defense shut them out too.
Well, yeah,
you know?
no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'm also talking about the points scored.
Yeah,
and the thing that comes to my mind is when we watch these games of this rivalry, you know, it's always about field goals. I mean, how many times have the game's been decided by a field goal? But in this case, when they're coming out the gate with touchdowns, that was the difference of this team and past teams, Brandon, in my opinion. Yeah. And when you're scoring touchdowns and not field goals, that's a great way to start a game and end a game.
I want to touch on a few points, some moments in the game that I thought were really big for either team, in all honesty. But you know, we're trying to drive down. It's 14-0 right before halftime, and we got some plays with Mark Nelson was wide open in the middle. He got tackled around the 50-yard line. We're moving the ball. That was then the same drive that likely had the stiff arm. And then Lamar is dancing in the back, in the back, and I'm thinking, like, throw it away because time is ticking down. You got no timeouts, and I want at least a field goal. And I was happy with that going into halftime 17-0, and just his mobility to extend that play. Hill helped with blocking and then was his outlet. I mean, that was really a dagger. You know, I mean, momentum was really on our sides. It would have been if we, you know, came away with the 3 points, but to get another touchdown on top of it was killer for Pittsburgh. Really
I want to embellish on that play because that is so key, what you just said. The escapability that Lamar had on that, we're going down to 2 seconds, and to get a touchdown, that's my whole point. Is we normally don't do that, and he would have thrown it away. We would have get a field goal before halftime and be happy with that.
Yeah.
But boy, when we scored with Hill, that was just the momentum killer for them.
It was a little bit of luck too, I will say, because
absolutely.
He scored with 2 seconds left.
I know, absolutely. But hey, we'll take the luck, especially in this game, because you know you can say luck is turnovers, right? So I'll take luck. I'll take a turnover. I'll take whatever, especially in a Pittsburgh game. And you know, be honest with you, as the things turned out, really didn't want to play Pittsburgh in a wild card because this is it's scary. It's scary.
A lot of Ravens,
you know,
were
I would have preferred to play the Chargers, but hey, I just like the way the Ravens' attitude is now. Post game, I heard Lamar mention that I don't care who we play. Said, who would you want to play? You know, Bills or he says I don't care. I don't care whoever's in front of me.
You know, the mentality of this team reminds me when Lee Evans drops the ball and Cundiff misses the kick right after. That mentality, the pain that team felt going into next year, because majority of the guys were still on the team and they felt that together. You know, that camaraderie is something you can't teach when you going into war with your brothers and you experience a heart-wrenching defeat. And you're looking around, and the core is still there. And that pain is still there. And this team has felt that last year with a championship game, and they carried that into this game, into this run. And you can see it when you listen to Roquan's pregame speech. You know, you can see it with Lamar being locked in and knowing that if we lose, it's all gonna fall on him. They're all gonna blame him.
Right.
He knows what's at stake.
Right.
So having that core, bringing guys like Van Noy back, right? You know, because Clowney, Van Noy, he could have easily been gone.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So I think that's really key, and that's something that I don't really hear a lot of people saying, but. Going into this game with Pittsburgh on the losing streak that they were on, and the mission that this team is on that Pittsburgh's not on, let's just be honest, they don't have Super Bowl aspirations, you know? Yeah. We do.
Right.
And this team was going into this game with that on their mindset, and clearly it showed on the field.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. I'll steal some of your thunder on a side conversation you had with me about Derrick Henry and Lamar and the chemistry and the camaraderie that they have. Now, here's Henry, a new piece to the puzzle, right? But you can just see that chemistry he has with Lamar, as you spoke to me about it today, and it's something special. It's really something special to see, and they feed off of each other. They kind of, you know, it's a brotherhood. They love each other, and they're fighting for each other. And Lamar just in post game conference talking about, I'm just in awe of Henry. I'm just watching him run through like it's a film, he said. I think a movie. He said it was a movie.
Like a car. It's a Cars movie.
Yeah. And to see
kids movie about fast cars and stuff.
But what I love about Lamar is the joy that he has. You can just hear him in terms of football. He just loves it. He said he was so antsy. He was so anxious for Saturday to come. And that's what you want to see. He's only, 28 now? 28 years old?
You know what I love about those two is the fact that they have all the accolades. Right. This is the one thing they're missing is the ring, and they're feeding off of each other. Like to your point, you can see that they both know with those two combined, if they're both mentally focused, with the will to get it done on the field, no one can beat them.
And what I like is their professionalism, Brandon. I mean, you know, when Henry, he's just a pure professional. And every time you talk to him, all it's about is, I did my job. They don't want, like you said, any pats on the back. So it's like they're such professionals. They're mature. They know what their mission is. They know what their job is. And they want to get it done and get to a Super Bowl. And nothing less less than a Super Bowl is going to be satisfactory to these guys.
Another point in the game I want to pivot to, it really shows the difference between the two teams. Early in the game, there's a 4th and inches, 4th and 1, Tomlin punts the ball.
Yeah.
And I was on the Steelers' Instagram page looking at the comments, because I like to see what people say in real time and then bring it on the podcast, because I'm not in conversation with Steelers fans. And they were all upset. Go for it, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it's 28 to 14. We're still up by 2 scores. It's about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 4th and 1. And I'm saying, go for it. Don't punt the ball, because if they get the ball, all they need is a quick drive, a quick score, and then they're only down by a touchdown.
Exactly.
So I was happy they went for it, and if they didn't get it, I would have gave props to Pittsburgh and been fine with it. But aggressiveness wins in playoff games sometimes. Look at Dan Campbell, what he's doing with the Lions. Yeah. He goes for it on 4th and 6, This is 4th and 1. This is what you got Derek for now. He didn't get the ball. Andrews ended up getting it for the tush push. But I like that because we milked another, 2-3 minutes off the clock, and we ended up having to punt the ball to them. But that gave them less time to work with.
Right.
And it really when you convert that 4th and 1, if you're from the Pittsburgh side, it's so depleting.
Yeah.
Because it's like we've got to stop them again, and our offense got it's so depleting. So I love that aggression, and it showed the difference between the two sides of the team. This team in Baltimore wanted to go out and win this by any means necessary. I'm surprised Tomlin didn't go for it.
I am too. I know, and I give props to, just like you said, to the Ravens, because it's win or die. I mean,
exactly.
You have no choice at this, and you got to go for it.
We always play scared against Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
always.
That was the key. We always play so conservative against them, Brandon. You hit the nail on the head. So sick of that. Like don't be afraid of these guys.
And when you got
punch them in the mouth. When they're down, get the score, not a field goal.
Yeah.
Get the score.
And this is why you get all these weapons.
Yeah.
For situations like that where you're not afraid to, because you said I can beat you with Andrews or Lamar or Derek.
And I'm glad you mentioned
pick your poison.
Exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned Andrews, because to me he's like the unsung hero. You know, we don't mention him enough on our podcast. You know, these stable guys that have been consistent on the Ravens, consistently excellent, right? And Andrews had a bad year because he was hurt all last year. So he is now.
And he had a slow start this year.
Yeah, because I think he was still not in football shape. You know,
it's not only that too. Think about it from an athlete perspective.
Or mental, even.
It's mentally a lot. You know, like I do martial arts. It's more of a mental game than physical, because even though you're facing an opponent, you're really facing yourself. Because if you go in there with the mentality like, this guy's going to beat me or I'm going to lose, that's what's going to happen.
Or I'm going to get re-injured.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was his mentality.
His mentality. Cautious,
yeah. And that's when you do get hurt, as Ray Lewis would always say, you got to go out there with no fear. Or don't go out at all, right? Yeah. So, but man, I'm so pumped up still, Brandon. I'm so excited for this team. I'm so glad that it was Pittsburgh actually now in the wild card that we stomped, because it's no better feeling than that. No disrespect to them. That means that we have the full respect for them, and then when you do that, then it just makes it even sweeter. You know?
Just to go off of your point, then I want to make one last point in this game. You know, as much as we hate Pittsburgh, we've always respected Pittsburgh. So I know some Steelers fans will see this episode, and if you made it this far, you know, kudos to you. But we've always respected Pittsburgh, always. And even in the lack of talent at certain positions, and lately it's been at the quarterback position, the most important position, they've always competed. Yeah. They've always stayed in it some sort of way. Yeah. Now, granted, it hasn't crossed over to playoff success, right? But I think they need to have a aura change, a different culture change with this whole defense first mentality, and not having the guy. Because think about our division, Burrow and Lamar. You got to have a quarterback to compete in this division when you got those two at the helm.
Hey, we went through all that torture. We went through all those years,
but they're still going through it.
I know,
is what
because
I'm trying to say.
Because they refuse to change, right? Yeah. And but look,
and I think their level of expectation and what they strive for is depleted, because they were an organization that put Super Bowls at the most important goal.
height of the goal.
And now it's just like, let's just have a winning season. Tomlin's never had a winning season. Who cares if you always a one and done in the wild card?
But when you look at this rivalry in all seriousness, and look at over the last 10, 15 years, look at all the Hall of Famers that have come out of both of these teams. And that's the reason why, you know, the AFC North has always been a strong division. And it has Hall of Famers, and will continue to have Hall of Famers.
And not just Hall of Famers. Like I remember so many Steelers defensive players from Kiesel to Larry Foote to Ferrier to Ike Taylor to Casey Hampton, because they traumatized me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Townsend on the other corner.
I say that because
Ryan Clark. I mean, these are not Hall of Famer guys, but I remember them because of how much we would butt heads.
It's funny, because if you're a Raven or a Steeler fan, you are going to know that if you really want to tell the truth, that we were both fearful on those games. You were always nervous. It's how the ball bounced. It's how sometimes the calls were made by refs. You just never knew.
Come down to the wire.
But if you thought you were such a confident going into the game that you're going to win, you're lying. Because we've won so many games by a field goal on each side.
I would say, if I had to put it on a scale, I was like 70% confident we would win. But what I was waiting for is, okay, it's going to be interesting if we turn the ball over and how this team responds. And there were no turnovers. The only one was Mims muffing the punt that he ended up returning.
But this always dictates our games.
That's why I say that.
Yeah.
You know?
But what I liked, Brandon, piggyback on that, is I love a blowout. It's been so long since we blew out and dominated the Steelers. It really has.
If you look at the score of the last game, because the Marlin picked six, Granted,
Yeah.
because they were on the verge of tying that game, that drive, and then that pick six made it, I think, 14. And I was like thinking, okay, could we do that again? Possibly, But to do it again is like, we had their number.
But
and we
this
just
game
need that
was
one win. We need that one win to get their confidence.
Right. And I hope they remember this, because that's how you play Pittsburgh. You can't be fearful. You can't be conservative.
Yep.
Todd had the right game plan, and when you have them down, you step on their throat, and you don't settle for a field goal. You get a touchdown on them.
And the last point I wanted to make for this game, Stout pinned it at the 1 yard line, right? It's a crucial third down. I'm going, okay, you get them off the field here. They got to punt it out of the back of their end zone. You get good field position. It should be a field goal minimum.
Yep.
This one, it was 21-0. I mean, you wrap it up. Game is over.
Right.
And Russell throws it to Calvin Austin over the middle. And he takes a lick from our Darius Washington, holds on, and that drive ended up being their first touchdown on Stevens, who got burned. And so that was kind of a crazy, luckish type of drive. And then the pass to Pickens, their second touchdown, it was just a great ball thrown by Russ and a good play on Pickens' part. So I got to credit them on that. The only thing I worry about going forward is that, like, if it's a tie game. And you look at Stevens, how easily he got beat.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like, I don't want to lose the season on that, because he's a weak link, and teams are picking up on him and picking on him. But luckily, we had some leeway.
Yeah,
that
just shows you that we are going to have to continue. I totally agree. First of all, and that this just shows me we are going to have to score points, because you do have some holes and weaknesses, on the back end, and everyone knows, including from the announcers to the fans, that Brandon Stevens, to the radio personalities, all say that there's an issue there. And, I'm hoping that this guy gets it together. I feel for him, because it's nothing like somebody picking on you, and every team knows it.
And you know what?
So,
there was other corners that got beat this game. Like White got beat down towards the sideline, and then the Pickens play was on Nate Wiggins, but they were both on the receivers tight.
Yeah, yeah. It was a blown coverage by Stevens again, and you could even see Kyle Hamilton pissed off, yelling at him on the field because he missed his assignment. So something happened there, and and Kyle's the one that calls the plays.
That's
for
the only
defense.
thing that worries me if it's a close game.
Yeah, and that's why I say, be honest with you, it can't be a close game.
I know, it can't be.
We have to score.
Listen,
and
every Ravens fan doesn't want it to be a close game.
No, I know. But so, it is. But that's why we have to continue to be aggressive with Todd. I do like his play calling this game, being aggressive and sticking to the run game. Always I like to see more of Henry on the field on third down situations, but I understand it. It gives them a chance to have a little rest.
Yeah,
but
it changes things up with
what
Justice
I like
Hill.
about him on the field on third downs, Brandon, is he can be a decoy, and he's a hell of a decoy, right? Now Justice Hill's out there, unless they intend to have him in that play. I don't know. I'd rather have Henry as a decoy out there, but I understand they're switching him back and forth, and it's a different dynamic when Hill is in there versus Henry.
Well,
but,
listen, I mean,
they did well.
Henry.
They did well. Hey,
he got fed 26 times.
Yeah. So he's out there enough.
Lamar, he was aggressive from the jump. He did not hesitate, which I love. This is what I wanted to see with him earlier in the season. And just, stop always thinking you got to always throw it every time. If you see a lane, just go. And 15 carries for 81 yards combined with Derek almost getting 200.
And the last thing I will say on that
unstoppable.
Point, exactly. And the last thing I wanted to say about that is what was it, 3 games ago now, when his mother got on him to tell him to make, and you can see it. You can see as soon as it breaks down, he goes off running, right? Yeah. He's not hesitating. And man, has that made a difference in our team? And it's made a difference in the W column too.
And even when he's not going downfield and like he's just being elusive in the back, there's somebody wide open. Because now you have to compensate for him if he's going to take off and someone's wide open. And as a Ravens fan, you're going, how the
Yeah.
Is he wide open? How the hell is that possible? You know, but it's because Lamar.
They have to account for him.
That's what I'm saying.
They can't fully cover somebody when he starts.
Because if you commit to him running and he doesn't go, there's a guy wide open over the middle.
Yeah,
say Andrews or
so
somebody.
You're in that in between zone if you're a corner,
exactly.
and that's a hell of a place to be when you're a corner.
Now,
but now Buffalo's coming up.
I want to pivot. Let's end on this. You know, at the time of this recording is after the Buffalo game, so I wanted to do that to see who we would play. I kind of knew we were going to end up playing Buffalo, and it's the same situation with Josh Allen. He can do the same things, you know.
Yeah,
but the one thing I will say, the only thing I'll say is I like our chances mainly because of our defense. I like our defense much more than Buffalo. I don't like the fact we got to go in Buffalo. Right. They have the advantage in that sense, but we're not like Miami.
Yeah,
you know, we can handle cold weather.
And to that point, Denver, when they played them today, that defensive line was not like our line.
Yeah.
And they just could not contain Josh. And I can't imagine the Ravens not being accountable for him, because they're accountable for Lamar in practice every day. So they know that. And Josh, whenever he gets in trouble, he runs, right? So if we can stop him and contain him, like I hope the game plan, and I'm sure the game plan is going to be like that, then we have a heck of a good chance to win this game.
And Denver did a decent job in the first half, but this game is a tale of two halves.
Yeah,
and if you let one little sliver of hope, or you're not as sharp as you were starting the game, boom, Buffalo blows the game wide open.
In the red zone, Brandon, it was so predictable that Josh was going to run. As soon as he rolls out,
it can be predictable, but you got to stop it.
Well,
you know,
I'm saying
that's what I'm. You know,
and they did not, did not. So and I'm hoping if that happens, not happens, it will. We'll be playing them, that we account for him running.
I think the key too is it'll be interesting who gets the ball first. But we got to start the game like we did against Pittsburgh, and I want to score first. Yeah. Because if they score first in Buffalo, it's going to be rocking. The pressure's going to be on. I want to put the pressure on them and say, Josh Allen, you match us.
Well, you noticed that Pittsburgh won the coin toss, and Tomlin elected to receive the ball because he wanted to go down and take all the momentum from us.
Obviously.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that was another big, to me, that was
so
another.
I agree with that method as an away team.
Yeah.
Go in their building and throw the first punch.
Right.
And dare them to do it again.
Get the fans out of it,
And that not only that shows the defense, okay, offense came to play. We got to do our part now.
Right.
Except
you got to execute.
I know, but as much as the offense has been good these last years, this is still a defensive organization. Let's not get it twisted. Yeah. Lamar's great and all that, but the foundation that the Ravens have built has always been predicated on defense. Mm-hmm. So I would love to go into Buffalo with a 7-0 start and get the defense pumped up, ready to go, and just go berserk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And hit Josh Allen and have him confused just like he was when he came to Baltimore.
Yeah. Well, bottom line, as we said in the beginning of this game, Brandon, you and I, that is all going to depend on Lamar. He's the leader. It's going to be dictated on how well he plays.
Protecting the ball.
No turnovers, I was just going to say. And he did all of those factors. And when Lamar is on his game, when he is playing his MVP type style, we're almost unstoppable, unbeatable.
Yeah. And in both games, Lamar didn't have a turnover. Yeah. Josh didn't have a turnover today.
Yeah, I think that's really going to be the key, is turnovers and protecting that ball, right?
Yeah.
And not fumbling and not throwing interceptions on Lamar's part, right? But if he does, he has now matured where I believe that he can overcome those disappointments, right? He won't let it completely engulf him for the rest of the game. I think that's where his maturity has really developed. So I'm looking forward to the game. It is going to be a great, hard, smash mouth type of game again, like Pittsburgh was. And I hope we are dominant and physical like we played Pittsburgh. We'll be in good shape.
Yep. This is a game that, as a Ravens fan, you're going to remember for a long time. Beating Pittsburgh in the playoffs at home, Ray Lewis coming back and stuff. So it was just great.
T-Sizzle.
Terrell Suggs too. It was just a great win, and the way we won, we're definitely gonna cherish this for a while. But the job's not done, the journey's not done, and this is gonna be the game of the week. You know,
Yep.
two guys who's MVP and all this stuff all year long. So
all wrapped up into one game. Here we go.
We got the matchup that everybody predicted, and it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fun one.
Yep.
So thank you for tuning in, and hope for the best, man. I'm confident. I really am confident. I think this team's clicking on all cylinders. I will take Lamar and the Ravens over Josh Allen any day of the week, and I think we go in there and this is our year to shock the world, basically.
Whatever happens, it's going to be fun. That's
Yep.
they're fun. They're a fun team to watch. I always say every podcast. So
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right, so tune in next week in the divisional round when we play Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.